All right, y'all. Let's get into this. It is it is great to be back to doing this. It's almost that time of year, the best time of year football season. So I'm thinking of some stuff. I always say I'm gonna do stuff, and sometimes I don't do it. But I might. This is not my only job. Now, if someone wants to make this my only job, then I can give y'all a lot of content. But since I have a real job and this is a hobby, then I do things as I have time, as I deem I have the energy to do it. So I posted this play and I said that this corner has lazy technique. And I'm not sure what part of the technique that I'm deeming as. I don't think people understand why I said lazy technique. Because for me, I got asked a question about Vinny Hardy is what's the does does good technique prevent you from biting on coverages? And it's not. Technique is will not prevent you from biting on coverage. I will say this. I believe wholeheartedly I had pretty good technique. And I've been on a few double moves. Um and I had really good discipline. But on those couple of plays, my discipline was horrible because I was trying to do something. I was trying to not do my job, and that's the reason why I always say do your job is because of the few times I did something outside of my requirements, and it cost the defense and it cost the team. I never forget. That would have to have been 1995 against Auburn at home. I was hurt the week before, wasn't supposed to play. Was asked by one of the coaches, "Hey, I need you to go in there and make a play," and they double moved me, and I didn't get it, but I was on their sideline, which is now it's our home sideline. But when I played as a visitor, no, was it the visitor sideline? Was it? I know I was on the visitor sideline. I think we changed it that year. But I was on the visitor sideline and they were talking as I came on the field. I'm like, oh, whatever. Didn't even think about it. But I know what happens. Like, oh, that's Van out there. He's aggressive. Let's go after him. That's what I think it was. So they made a double move. And I'm not sure if they scored. I think they scored. It was a score because I remember going off the sideline. So that wasn't a technique deal. That was a discipline deal. I had bad eye discipline. Horrible. Because I was trying to make a play. And discipline supersedes technique all the time. You can have bad technique but good discipline and be a pretty good corner. So on this play, the lazy technique is here. So I would prefer a back pedal, but that's not even the lazy technique that I'm going to talk about. So he's right now, he's outside. I think this is McConkey. I think he's outside technique of the receiver. So he's on that part of on this shoulder of the receiver. So he's outside technique. If you outside technique, you are outside technique for a reason. Probably because you have help inside. So therefore, you fight for your leverage. That's as a DB. As a receiver, I'm gonna talk out of both sides of my mouth on this. As a receiver, you also want to attack the leverage of the corner to force him to protect that leverage, which then gives you sometimes an easier route to get to the spot that he wants to feed you to. Because right now, the DB wants to feed you to the middle of the field. If you wide him, you might have created 5 yards, 3 yards of space to get a little window for your quarterback to throw it in. Also, if you want to run an out route, you don't want to run inside if you want to run an out route, the easiest thing to do is to think, oh, don't go out because now you reduce your area for the quarterback to throw. But in essence, really, it's counter what you want to do. I know it's weird. You think I go here and then come out. Where if this DB stays outside on your release and your stem, you're gonna run right back into him. It's easy for us as corners if we run an out route and we're in outside leverage technique. So what you want to do as a receiver is attack the leverage and hopefully get to where you're even with them, and then you have an advantage to break it out. It's weird, I know. But on this one right here, so the corner has outside leverage. And I have no problem with him running like this. I really don't. I don't like it, but I don't have a problem with him running because I don't know if he knows they're going to run a deep route, but whatever it is, he's okay here. Once he gets to this point, you need to whip your head around and find him. You need to whip your head around and find him. If he whips his head around and finds the receiver, he's no longer in this blind spot. Does that make sense? If right now he turned his head this way, like a speed turn, and located, he would see the receiver break down and fade and stop. But his eyes, as I was saying earlier, is looking at the quarterback. Not only is the receiver in his blind spot, he's also not even looking at him. Hence, lazy technique. All he has to do right now is spin his head. Here's the thing, y'all. This is what I want young DBs to understand. And I honestly didn't grasp this concept until sometime in college. I can't tell you when, maybe after my freshman year. In high school, you can get away with doing athletic stuff. You're just a better athlete. In high school, if you're not in Texas, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, California, or in the big football states where there are 5A teams, where there are on a given game, there are like 10 D1 they recruits. But in the normal people situation in other states, you are probably, if you're a D1 player, you're probably one of the 2-3 players on the field that are D1 players, which means you're probably going against guys that are not as good as you, which means you can get away with a lot of stuff. All right. So there's things that you can do in high school you just can't do as you progress in your career. One thing you can learn, and I learned a little bit in high school, but I definitely did in college, is knowing what everyone else has to do. And is that going to prevent you from making mistakes? No. But it will give you a better understanding of how to play your technique and your responsibility. All right. Those things can help. Now, there's going to be certain situations where if you're a smart kid and you watch film, where you can go take something because you know it's coming by pre-snap alignment, pre-snap formation, pre-snap down a distance. That's what the OC likes to run on 3rd and 5. Like, there are things that I remember that I did just because I knew 3rd and 5 Vanderbilt likes to run all hitches. Those are things that can get you an advantage. But if you know what everybody else has, so for example, right here, if you're in, I think they're man under. I think they're a single high safety with corners matched up, and everybody is man under, right? So, or it could be cover 3. I don't know. But you see this guy right here. Oop, move the rock. You see this guy. I know See this guy right here, right? That guy looks like he has curl flat. So if you know that your teammate is very good at his responsibility, you stay outside. He's got curl flat, so you kind of cannot bite on a curl because you know you got a defender that's going to help. Not to say that you can't read it and still go for the curl, but you know you have a defender that has a chance to get there, right? So let him get there. Y'all, I lost my earlier, y'all. I don't know what happened. One of my contents on YouTube got flagged, so I don't know if it's because of I'm using ESPN or whomever, but it got flagged, and I don't need to get flagged again. So, right? If you know that this guy has a certain responsibility and the receiver's running that, let him do his job. Also, if depends on the time of the game, you want to do your job, and later you go get your pick later. Because see, and this is now I'm rambling. This is also the advantage, y'all, of kids in high school playing both ways. If you don't know, I tell you, I played quarterback my entire career until I got to college, and I played since I was a 8-year old. I played with damn good coordinators, offensive coordinators. My coordinator in Little League was a quarterback in college. He was at Grambling, one of the greatest coaches ever. So I went from him, and when I went to high school, my coordinator my last year was a LSU GA under Coach Archer, and after I left high school, he was I think it's OC at ULM, Louisiana Monroe. So damn good coordinators. What damn good coordinators do is if they find success at something, they will come back to it. There have been many games that I got picks on because you play the coverage the way it's supposed to be played early in the game, and you know they're going to come back to it, and that's when you get your picks. That is something that also young guys be cognizant of. If you're playing cover three in the beginning of the game, play cover three like it's supposed to be played. There is no one in the flat in cover three. In cover three, you're giving up out routes, you're giving up little 5-yard hitches, you're giving them up. You're trying to get an extra man in the box. Like there's reasons why you run cover three. If the offensive coordinator call a play and there's a flood route and the out route's gonna be wide open, everybody gets all, oh my God, how y'all let them open? There's a reason. In defense, you can't cover every inch of the field. You're gonna give up the flat. So in the first part of the game, you give up the flat. You play the coverage like it's supposed to be played. Now, when you get in the third quarter, when you get a read on it, so let's say they run hitch first quarter, they run hitch late in the first quarter, they run hitch late in the second quarter, and you play it right, and you don't bite. See, what happens is if you start biting, that's when they're gonna put the hitch and go on it. But if you play it like it's supposed to be played, they're gonna run it. And that's a chance for you to say, okay, all right, man, I got a beat on the receiver. I know how fast he is. I know how the quarterback reads it. I know the timing of the route. That's when you can go get one. That's when you go get one. Louisville game 1996. Perfect example. They ran hitch. Damn, if they didn't run hitch the first play of the game, definitely the first series. They got 5 yards. But the thing about it, if you know it's coming, they're gonna get 5 yards. You come, make the receiver feel it. Maybe he drops the next one. But They ran it a couple more times to different receivers. Then I think it was the third quarter where I got the pick, or it was the fourth. I think it was the third, because I got the timing down. I understood how what is guy named Montier? I can't remember. Starts with an M. I understood how he ran the route. I understood release. I understood his stem. So I got a beat on it. Got an interception. So as young DBs do that, it can help. All OCs want to come back to their favorite play later. If you too aggressive, what they're gonna do, they're gonna come back to their favorite play and then make an adjustment off of your aggressiveness. But if you play the coverage how it's supposed to be played, how it's drawn up on the board, you can go get you one later. So right here. So this guy has a chance for a curl, right? And it looks like he's looking, but his laziness is right, not keeping his eyes on the receiver, or if it's zone, letting him get into his blind spot and not whipping his head around. All he has to do is whip his head around. Even with bad technique, all he has to do is whip his head around. If he whip his head around, now he can jam him. Another thing, young DBs, I hate seeing on high school level and in college is we're not in the NFL yet. We're not in the NFL yet. You can jam a receiver anywhere on the field as long as the ball is not in the air. Does a speed turn, he's able to jam, and he's able to get back over the top. All right? Because I know it's either man or cover three because they got a safety. It could be two man. They got two safeties back there. I didn't see him. So they even man under, which even makes it worse. I don't know what this corner was doing. This is not good technique. It does look like two because then this guy's in a hook. But the laziness is not understanding technique. And if he's in zone, if you're in zone, should have widen with him because you got a guy in a hook. Widen with them, keep him on the inside of you, and then you're in good shape. You cannot, y'all, you cannot, as a defender, let a guy in your blind spot. That's blind spot. Especially if you're in zone. If he's in zone, he's looking at the quarterback, that's what he's supposed to. And if you're in zone, then you lose sight of the most important thing, which is ball and man. You should be able to see ball and man. The confusing part to me is he's looking at the receiver here. So that to me means man. Because if he was looking at the quarterback, the decal on his helmet would be pointing more this way, which will probably be able to tell right there. So now the decal is pointing that way. That means he's looking at the quarterback. When the decal was pointed more lesser angle, he's side eyeing right there. He's looking at the receiver, which to me means man. Because if you're in zone, you should never do that. If you're in zone, you should be here looking through the receiver to the quarterback. But the laziness comes right. Spin your ass around so you can get your eyes back if you're a man. Get your eyes back on the receiver. Even if you're in zone, you would have to do it because you just gave up your leverage and you can't see the receiver. Now, here's my problem if I'm seeing that it's cover two, is where's the damn safety unless it's, see, that's the bad part about not seeing this. Now, if it's trips, this corner probably does have him backside man to man because a safety in cover two has to poach on number three in case number three goes vertical. So if that's the case, he really screwed up. But all he has to do, y'all, is I want to clarify this. All he has to do is speed turn right here. Get his head around, get his eyes on the receiver. He's fine. You cannot lose sight. You cannot lose sight of the receiver. No. A better pass and it's a touchdown. But that's all, y'all. That's all I got. Understand that. Understand that. Y'all, I'll be getting back into it. It's getting this what? 50 some days? Kickoff, something like that? It's almost August. Whew. Y'all, um, just for some insight. So I'll be back on Tom Leach Monday morning, quarterback. And I will also be on with Larry Glover post game. So once the game is over with, I'll be able to calm you down if we lose and gaslight you even more if we win. All right, y'all. That's all I got. Um, it's almost that time of year, and there's no better time. So hopefully I see you sooner than later. And if not, y'all just have a good rest of your Sunday. And hopefully I'll see y'all soon with something to